Good morning, students. From your 10th standard ICSE syllabus, biology part, today we are going to deal with a simple, comparatively simple topic related with population. So what I suggest is, you all can keep textbook open in front of you so that whatever I am talking about, because it is say general thing, so only I am going to discuss certain points, and then for reference, if you keep textbook open in front of you, it will be of great help. Okay? So now let us begin with this lesson, population. Now we are going to deal with human population, population of human beings, the situation in India and of course all over the world. Now let us see first what is population. Now population is a group of individuals, or it is a group of living organisms, but located in a particular area. So always remember that when we talk about population, we will be talking about population of certain area. So here we are going to talk about population of India. So now geographically you know map of India. So within the territory of India, what is the situation, we are going to deal with it. So population is nothing but group of individuals interacting with each other. So obviously in population, two individuals or a group of individuals, they interact with each other, and it is interbreeding group of individuals. Now interbreeding means two individuals, here one is going to be male, other is going to be female, and these two individuals, they take part in the process of reproduction and next generation is born. So that is what is called interbreeding. In interbreeding, two individuals taking part in the process of reproduction, they are of same type, or to be more specific, they are of the same species. So such a group of individuals located in one particular area, that group is called population. Now here we are mainly going to focus on population of India. So population of India, other countries, and if we talk about all the countries of the world, it is going to be population of world. Okay? So this is how the concept of population you have to remember. Now if we have to study human population of a particular location or global world population or global population, in that case, when that systematic and scientific study is being done, it is called demography. Okay? So the first term you have studied is population, then second term is demography. So demography is quantitative and statistical study of human population, and in that, in demography, we deal with what is birth rate, what is the death rate, how is the ratio of males and females with respect to each other, where population is thin or where population density is high. When all such things are studied, that is called demography. Okay, so students, you have to remember meanings of all these terminologies. Now, next term is census. I am sure you are quite familiar with this particular word census. Now, census is nothing but actually counting individuals, that is head count. But of course, for a country like India where there is large population, this is a big task. So, census is nothing but actually counting individuals of a particular locality. And here data is collected, data is preserved, and using that data there are many more say conclusions etc. are drawn, or this particular data which is collected during census is useful in many ways. For example, age wise if grouping is to be done, what is the situation, how many old people are there, how many children, young ones, what is their status. So, all such things can be understood. Then what is the birth rate, what is the death rate, sex ratio is another concept, that is relative proportion of male and females in the population. So, in census it is not just head count, but all these things are also important, and all this information or data is properly conserved, it is tabulated, and in a statistical manner all this information is preserved. So, based on that there are many conclusions etc. are drawn, plus policies of the government etc. are also decided based on this census. But as I told you students, this is a big task of counting human beings of our country because our population is large. So, that is why once census is done, the next census is done after the interval of 10 years. So, first census took place in 1891 in India. Okay, so 1891 is the first time when population was counted, and after that, after every 10 years it is being counted. Okay. So, this census is going to help in many different ways, and that interval of 10 years also you have to keep in mind, because based on that also you are likely to get questions in the exam. Okay. So, this was the concept of census. Now, next concept is population density. Population density. Okay. Now, population density means in a particular area how many people are living in that area. Based on that, population density is decided. Okay, now I will give you a very simple example. We all are Punekars, we live in Pune. In Pune city, you will see large number of people living in this city. So, in you can say Pune city is highly populated, which means that density of Pune city is very high. On the other hand, if you go to a village, then population density is less, that is you will find less number of people living there. So, population density is nothing but the number of individuals per unit area. Now, I will give you a simple example which is related with the current situation. I am sure you all must be keeping track of the coronavirus and that all that pandemic and things related with it. Now, in country like India, why is it is so difficult or challenging to control spread of this coronavirus? The answer is population density. We have huge population. That's why if you must be keeping track, experts are often saying that maintaining social distancing is very, very difficult. It is because people are very close to each other. If you see houses, small house, and many members, family members are living in that small house. So, maintaining social distance is really difficult. So, population density means the area is specified and within that area how many individuals are living, that decides population density. Now, another thing is, let us take example of from India, Ladakh region. You know how is the climate in Ladakh region, extreme climate, and how is population density, how many people are living in that area, relatively less number. So, I say less population density in that area. Let us take example of desert of Rajasthan. How is population density? Again less. On the other hand, let us take example of urban areas, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune. How is population density? Very high. So, another thing is you have to keep in mind, in case of population density, there are many reasons why in a particular area population density could be less or it could be high. One major reason is how is the climate. If climate is extreme, if climate is not favorable for people to survive or to live, then obviously you will find few people living in that area, and that is why population density is less. On the other hand, the area where climate is very nice to live, quite comfortable, population density is likely to be more. Plus, in addition to the climate, our daily needs and opportunities are also important. Good schooling facility, good education facilities, medical facilities are good, employment opportunities are good. At such places, you will find many people living, or you will also see people migrating to those places in search of work. Students migrate and go to other places where there are better educational opportunities available. Even for nowadays, for treatment purposes also, people migrate to all such places where good medical facilities are available. So, these are the factors which have effect on population density. But usually remember that the places or area where climate is comfortable and lot of opportunities are available for people, those areas are densely populated. On the other hand, the areas where opportunities are less, plus conditions are not that favorable to live or to survive, you will find those areas to be thinly populated. Okay? Now, next concept is birth rate. Now birth rate means how many individuals are born in a population. Okay? To be more specific, when we explain this concept of birth rate, now birth rate is also called natality. So birth rate is number of births per 1000 individuals per year. So this is how birth rate is statistically explained or it is mentioned. Now in our country, initially or in the past, birth rate was low, but now birth rate is high, and if you see nowadays, because of very good medical facilities available, lifespan has increased and death rate has gone down. So it is very simple for you to understand. Suppose if birth rate of a country or birth rate of a population is very high and death rate is relatively low, then size of the population is going to increase, because new individuals will get added to the population and comparatively less number of individuals will be eliminated from the population. Okay? So this is how birth rate is calculated. On the same line, death rate or mortality is also calculated. Now mortality means the number of deaths per 1000 individuals in a year. Okay? Now here, how people die? Natural death, that is because of old age, or death due to some ailments or some infections or diseases, deaths due to accidents, etc. All those are taken into account in the death rate. So at present, students, let me tell you, in our country, death rate has gone down comparatively and birth rate is good, and that's why a large number of people or a large number of new individuals are getting added to the population, and that's why population is growing in India. Population is growing. On the other hand, in some of the countries, other countries, where birth rate is low, that is, in our comparison, few individuals are born over there and that number is getting added to the population, whereas death rate is comparatively stable in those countries, but birth rate is very low. And that's why in those countries, size of the population is becoming smaller and smaller day by day. Okay? So this is how birth rate and death rate, they decide whether population is growing population or it is a declining population. And if we talk about our country, birth rate is high and that's why it is a growing population. Okay? So this is going to be very important for all of us to understand. And because of or in connection with birth rate and death rate, we have also discussed concept of growth rate. Okay. So, in the first part we have dealt with all these concepts as population means number of individuals belonging to the same species, and individuals are interbreeding, and such a group is called population. Then demography is studying human population, keeping in mind many other points or things like what is the age, what is the birth rate, death rate, how is the density. So, all those say aspects are studied in demography. Then census is actually counting the individuals and maintaining that record. Population density is nothing but in a particular area how many people are living. So, based on that there can be a thickly populated area or population density can be very, very thin in a given particular area. Birth rate means new individuals born in the population, whereas a death rate means individuals eliminated from the population because of death, and growth rate is decided on birth rate and death rate. If birth rate is more, population is growing. If birth rate is less and death rate is more, then the number goes down, and that is called a declining population. And another concept I am going to discuss here is sex ratio. Now, sex ratio means ratio of males and females. Students, remember that naturally when population is growing, then nature tries to maintain proper ratio of males and females. So, nature tries to maintain that ratio to be 1:1. But in our country many a times it is seen that this ratio is unequal. That is, in many parts of our country it is observed that number of male individuals is higher than that of females. So, this ratio is disturbed it is seen to be disturbed in many parts of our country. There are various reasons for such imbalance in population of males and females, but you have to understand that if this ratio is not maintained properly, then we are likely to face several problems because of it. So, students, in connection with growth rate, if we just try and look at the situation in other countries, I told you that growth rate in India is very high. That is, in India death rate is low, on the other hand birth rate is high, and of course lifespan of human beings in India on an average has increased. So, we have a large population in our country. On the other hand, in the world there are many countries where opposite situation is seen, means birth rate is less, comparatively more deaths are taking place. So, there is no significant increase in the population taking place in those countries, and some of the examples of such countries are Greece, Italy, Belarus, Russia, etc. Then in some of the countries, both the ratios, birth rate and death rate, are almost equal, and that is why it is called zero growth. So, countries like Germany, Portugal, Poland, these countries are witnessing zero growth at present. And on the other hand, countries like India, China, they are witnessing a very high growth rate of population, and I told you what is the reason. Okay. So, now from the examination point of view, all these terminologies are important, their explanations are important, then how to calculate birth rate, death rate, then growth rate of the population, all these points are going to be important. There are some details given in your textbooks, those are also important from exam point of view, like examples etc., some figures are given, so those you are expected to learn. Now, moving on to situation in the world as far as population is concerned. Now, in the past, say 50,000 years ago, when enough evolution, that is I am talking about biological evolution, it took place in human beings, and like human beings, they started say thinking, they started developing some sign languages, and they started collecting food, and for their own protection they started making some say tools made from stone etc. I am talking about that age. Now, it was a tool making age for human beings, where primitive tools were say designed and made and of course used by human beings for their own protection. Now, in that particular period, human population of the world was approximately 1 million. So, comparatively the number was limited. But of course, human beings, they were living a very primitive kind of life. That means they were gathering food or collecting food, they were hunting other animals, and of course, there were many controlling factors on human beings, and it was a kind of nomadic life for humans. They were moving from one place to another in search of food, and that is why death rate was comparatively higher and population size was limited. Later, in the agricultural stage of human beings, man started doing agriculture. He realized that if he settles at one place, tries to cultivate plants, grow them, and that is how agriculture came into existence. And from nomadic life, man started settling at particular different locations. Usually those locations were near some water bodies, so that water was easily available, and there humans got little stability, and that was the point where growth rate started increasing, or human population started increasing, because by that time man learnt a lot of new things, like how to manufacture different tools, clothing etc. Plus he started growing food for himself and for others, and that gave a little stability to human beings, and population started increasing. And in the third phase, when industrial revolution took place at the global level, different kinds of machines were designed. So, today if we just think about ourselves, everywhere in our daily life we make use of small or big machines. So, that makes our task easier, our efforts are reduced, and we are living more comfortable life. And because of this, and of course various other say researches etc., our life has become more comfortable. There is lot of research taking place even in the field of medicines, etc., and lifespan has increased. So also we are able to control growth rate to some extent, that is especially growth rate where large number of deaths were occurring due to infections, etc. So, by developing vaccines and medicines, etc., and lifespan has also increased, and that is how now there is exponential increase in the population. Okay. So, this is about population of world. It can be discussed in 3 different phases. Okay. So, we have so far discussed some attributes of population and how is world population increasing from primitive stage to the current stage. Other things we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.